Hello, everyone. It's absolutely great to be with you. I have to begin by thanking Joanne Lulan. Joanne, this was her vision, this was her passion, this was her determination to bring us together. So Joanne, thank you, and bravo to you, and bravo to you. She's a force of nature in funny clothes. Don't let that mislead you. She really is a force of nature. She's a strategist, she's brilliant, and she does the hard work. She doesn't just come up with the strategy. She's right there shoulder to shoulder with all of the workers. Speaking of workers, to all of the organizations that tabled here tonight, you are our best hope to save democracy. And I couldn't mean that more. I couldn't mean that more. It's so wonderful that so many of you said yes to come here tonight to show others what you are doing, to talk about some of your successes, but also to be instructive to everyone. No one knows everything, but we all have nuggets to share with one another. And to the Biddels for singing. I always think, I was educated by nuns, and they used to say, when you sing, you pray twice. And, embedded in the words of these songs, especially We Shall Overcome, that was the singing prayer in the civil rights movement in our country. They knew what their mission was. They were determined to do it non-violently. They understood, that's right, applaud. I mean, we're so accustomed to that American story that I don't think we go deep enough into it to appreciate what they endured, but how they succeeded, and that was part of their strategy. It was part of their strategy. And thank you for inviting me tonight. It's really wonderful to be here with you. Joanne said you need to inspire everyone. Well, I don't know whether I can do that, but I, like you, it's been hell. I mean, just sheer hell. Every day, there's another body blow. And even though the Republicans put out and the Trump organization campaign, well, he denied it, but they knew exactly what they were doing. They had a strategy, and it was 2025, Project 2025. I think it sounded too far-fetched to people, that no human being would ever do this. I mean, Trump, talks out of both sides of his mouth, et cetera, et cetera. He always says outrageous things to get attention, and then the press carries it. But he's not, God forbid, first of all, most of us didn't think he was going to win. The idea, it was a mental block, really. I mean, I thought that Kamala was doing great, and that there was enormous enthusiasm, and the outpouring of volunteers really cheered me across the country. But they had a plan, they had a strategy, and they're moving forward with it every single day. Now, back into this room. Each of you is here because you love our country. You love our country. You cherish our democracy. And you've been, like me, appalled by the daily body blows to our Constitution. This guy, nothing is sacred to him except himself. Nothing. Just himself. We've seen the Congress totally controlled by the Republicans. I don't even think they're real Republicans anymore. I have to tell you that. This is not classic Republicanism at all. Because I served with several, not tons, but several good ones. But I was there, I could see the decline, and what was happening to the party. And very often in walking over to the Capitol for votes, we'd take a break in our committee hearing or markup. I would walk over to the Capitol with them, and I would say to them, in conversing with them, what are you doing? You're overseeing the total destruction of a great political party. I don't agree with the basic principles of the Republican Party, but it's still a great political party and produced great leaders for our country, patriots for our country. And what is it worth to you to stay here just to hold on to your job? Just to hold on to your job and go along with this monster? They wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't say anything. And so you see, they bend the knee how many times a day, how many times a week. They've completely caved in to this man. It's so unbelievable to me in so many ways, because the Congress, the framers put Congress, Article 1. Article 1 is in our Constitution, is the powers to the Congress. I didn't go to Congress to do whatever the president wanted me to do. Now, you have president of your own party. You have the opportunity to get that much more done. Ideologically, there's a better fit. But I never feared or thought there was anything wrong, and there isn't, in disagreeing with the president. And I disagreed with Democratic presidents and Republican presidents. And I agreed with Republican presidents and Democratic presidents. But you don't cede the power that the Constitution vests in the Congress, Article 1. But we see that every day. And every day there's more and there's more. And I find it to be soul-crushing. It is soul-crushing. And I just as I don't think realized full well what we went through during COVID. I mean, we just got up and did what we could do every day. I mean, I just remember being in my kitchen and standing at my kitchen counter with my laptop or my iPad and returning calls and doing, telephone town hall meetings every week with doctors. I did commute across the country. It's a miracle. I never got anything. I mean, but it's a fog. But I think that we realize so much clearer and better now. There's more definition to it, that every single person in our country was affected in some way, shape, or form. It had an effect on our institutions. It had effect on our families, our schools, our children, and all of that. And I think the same as what we're enduring now, what we're witnessing now. So here's what I see. It's not all of it, but it's some of it. Trump is under water. He's only at 37% approval ratings. And there's a dive by Republicans. It's gone down in terms of Republican support. Heavy numbers in terms of disapproval on the part of independents. And of course, Democrats, it's in I think it's something like 94%. But make no mistake about it, he is underwater. He's further underwater than Joe Biden was on the heels of the debate that really did him in. That's pretty far underwater. It's not a small thing. Lower courts are standing up. I mean, they're fighting like hell. They really are. And we need to appreciate that. It is an ingredient. It is an ingredient, a very important one. We are a nation of laws, even though this guy just flies in the face of that every single day. But the lower courts are standing up. Last week's No Kings protest made new history in our country. Over 7 million Americans got up, went out in every single state in our nation, blue, red, purple, it didn't matter what the tone of the state is. They went out. It's the largest protest in the history of our country. It's beyond extraordinary. It is beyond extraordinary, everyone. And all of those people, I don't know how they were registered to vote. I'm sure they were all backgrounds. But they were all saying, we love our country, stop ruining it. We don't agree with this. We don't like it. It's unconstitutional. It's bad for all of us. It's terrible for the future of our country. We don't like this, and we're standing up and saying so, and they weren't afraid. And they were, in terms of replication, they were calm, they were disciplined, they were peaceful. Civil rights movement, strategy, mission, strategy, and what I just loved, they mocked the would-be king. They really, and you know what? Bullies cannot take mocking. They can put a hook in you. Because they want you to react and maybe say something that you might regret, or doesn't sound so good if it's being carried on the evening news, because it may turn some people off. But no, they mocked, and they wore all those different outfits and whatever. I thought it was just terrific. I mean, it really was really terrific. That in and of itself was a strategy. That wasn't by accident, but it was homegrown, though. It was homegrown. Trump is vulnerable. I want to say that again. Trump is vulnerable. Does that click with you? Do you understand what that means? It means an opportunity for us. He is specifically ruining the cities and the lives of his most loyal voters. He's taking their factories, their jobs, their health care, their hospitals, and their future. Now consider health care. Do you realize what this is in terms of what they did in that so-called big, beautiful, ugly, immoral bill that they made law? That's where they did their dirty work. Over 70 times, as a member of the House, over 70 times, they brought legislation to the floor, over 70 times, to get rid of Obamacare. So this isn't any accident. This is in their DNA. You know what's in our DNA? We invented Social Security. We invented Medicare. We invented Medicaid. We passed Obamacare. We did children's health insurance, the CHIPS Act. That's what's in our DNA. So when you hear these broadcasters saying, well, the Democrats have come up with an idea and they think it's health care. No, it's in our DNA. You go near that, you have to come through us. I know, I've seen the votes all along, and I saw the struggle it was to get it over the finish line. It's a great, great source of pride to us to have done that. And even though we paid the price for passing it because we lost the House, once those legal words, that's what legislation is. I mean, if I passed it out and gave it to you, only the lawyers would understand the language. But when those words walk into people's lives, there's a new reality to them. And now the words that they have written in that legislation, see, they have to acknowledge if they're going to go and negotiate now in this shutdown, and I don't blame the Democrats. Would you trust this crowd for anything? Vote to, they control everything. There's something so screwed up about this. They control everything, and they're saying the Democrats won't let us open the House. I mean, it's like you want to just bang your head against the wall. And of course, the journalists, they all repeat the same thing. Speaker says, well, what our Democratic friends want us to do is spend $1 trillion. Imagine spending $1 trillion. They're the ones that created $4 trillion in debt from this rotten bill they passed. They want us to spend $1 trillion for health care for illegal immigrants. And not one journalist has said, Mr. Speaker, that is a lie. There is a law against it. And you know who put that law in place? Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan. I mean, if someone is bleeding out on the street, terrible accident, whatever it might be, of course, they are taken to the hospital, given the emergency care, all of that. Hospitals were losing a lot of money. And so what Ronald Reagan signed into law was that they must be reimbursed, irregardless of whether someone is a citizen or not. It was Ronald Reagan that signed that law. So, excuse me for going off on health care, but for 32 years, I served on the health committee. And I was the first woman in 200 plus years to chair that committee. So I know this stuff. And they're ripping away this health care they do it more than one way. They have eviscerated Medicaid. At the end of the year, there will be a $500 billion cut in Medicare. You don't hear them talking too much about that. And beginning November 1st, the enrollments start for signing on, which we all do. You have a health insurance policy. You're going to hear from your provider about whether you want to sign up for the same plan. Do you want to go to another one? If so, here's the information or where to call to get that information. And that by, I think, December 7th is the usual deadline of at least most providers, if not all of them. And these are facts. It's not fiction about what the increases will be. You know what? They don't give a damn about average people in this country. And somehow that has been masked. I think it's the Democrats' fault in some ways. And it showed in the election and the segments of the election that went for Trump. We lost working people. That in and of itself to me was soul crushing. How can that be that all of the legislation, all of the work, all of the everything, day in and day out, the accomplishments, the whatever, that's a whole nother discussion to have sometime. I didn't come here tonight to talk about that, but not good signs, not good signs. So when you just take health care, listen to this, 57% of all enrollees in Obamacare live in districts represented by a Republican. 57% of all enrollees. Who can afford a policy that they're paying maybe $350 a month for themselves, children under 26, of course, on Obamacare, can stay on their parents' policy up to the age of 26. I think it was a wonderful thing, one of the many, many, many wonderful things we had in the legislation. And who can afford that tripling? You go from $333 a month, to $1,000 a month? In some states, it's even higher. And enrollment is disproportionately large in the southern states. Think about that. I mean, as I list the things that I see, all right, these are all important, I think, moving parts to what's going on. And when you think about the large southern states, think about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why do you think she came out and said what she said? She saw the letters that her sons got. And she said, our leaders never told us this about the legislation. Hey, stupido, you're supposed to read it before you vote on it, But, they get caught, yeah. But I mean, the thing is that, they go with their own rhetoric. It sounds great to them. There's abuse and fraud and I'm so sick of that. You have intelligent reforms. Come on down. We're for that. We're not against that. You always want to refine programs and make them better. But they never were for this. They went after it. They did it this time. And now it's going into the laps of the American people. Up to 25 million Americans. And you know what? It's really going to hurt. It's really going to hurt. And you know what, too? The new costs are going to be spread amongst those of us that do have a health insurance policy. If they can't afford it, they drop it because they can't afford it. Where do you think the costs go? The costs have to be spread. So this is a huge body blow to the country. Trump has really stabbed farmers in the back, their international export markets have been devastated. It may not be something that we watch here from the West Coast, but it is a fact. It is a fact. When I was leaving the house, they were doing a piece on beef and the price of beef and those that raise the cattle in our country, and the would-be king. He just came out with really just another brilliant idea to have the Argentinians export beef to the United States. Well, of course, that has sent these farmers into, they're just aghast. The soybean crop is rotting. It's rotting. Imagine you work all year to grow the soybeans, and it's an export for American farmers. It's all rotting. Why? Because of his policies. So he has, in my view, he stabbed them in the back. And this situation has been exacerbated by his lunatic trade war. Now, lots of liberal regions are hurt by the cuts that you've read about. Not only what was proposed this year, but what they did. But the bulk of the bloodletting, are in states that voted for him. I used to say to constituents in town hall meetings, what's the most important economy in the world? And the United States and the UK, and and I'd smile and I'd say, keep going, keep going. And then constituents would say, well, what do you think it is? I said, I think it's yours. I think it's yours. And so for each one of these points that I'm pointing out to you, they're not all of them, but I think these are significant because it goes right to the heart of how people live, what they need to live, and that without it, their lives are in decline. That's not who and what we are. We're never satisfied as Americans. We always want to do more. We always want to do better. Each generation wants yet something else for their children. I never thought that the American people asked too much. They want a good job, a job with dignity, so that they can marry if they wish to, buy a home, educate their children, be able to pay their mortgage, take a vacation, and they want to live independently and not rely on their children when they retire. I mean, isn't that the dream? I mean, I feel beyond blessed because I'm okay. I'm okay. You can put up with a lot when you're real young, you really can. But boy, when you're older, you lose your dignity. You lose your dignity. And when people see that sliding in their lives, that's a huge personal and very powerful emotion to them. So consider these words from a professor of democracy and international affairs at Johns Hopkins. His name is Henry Farrell, because I think they're very important and they're instructive. The struggle over regime change is about whether the aspiring authoritarians can subdue civil society. Aspiring authoritarians can subdue civil society. Their strategy is to play divide and conquer, rewarding friends and brutally punishing opponents. Pretty clear, isn't it? Here's something else. The political theorist Russell Hardin explains, quote, power is a coordination game in which everything depends on what the public believes and does together. Let me say it again. Power is a coordination game in which everything depends on what the public believes and does together. Authoritarian regimes need civil society, the realm of people and organizations outside of government control, to acquiesce to their rule. I am convinced of that. I see it. I see it. Because that's what they're going after. They're trying to anyway, with their tantrums about and dictums to law firms, to colleges and universities. It's a list as long as the El Camino Real. Trying to get them to acquiesce to their rule. Now, remember, East Germany's dictatorship collapsed when multitudes began to march and organize against it. I remember it. I think many of you do. I think we have forgotten about it, but history is instructive. So many marched and organized against it, collapsing the illusion that everyone accepted tyranny. Why do you think the president used the words that he did when asked about the protest, the No Kings protest. Look at the way he responded. See, they know that that is trouble. And he released that, oh my God, I'm not even going to. So we who oppose authoritarianism, we have to play a different game. We have to create solidarity among an uniquely unwieldy coalition, because if everyone holds together, we'll succeed.
Yes.
We will succeed. We will succeed. I'm convinced that we beat Trump. We beat Trump, Trumpism, and all that goes with it by banding together. And I'm not just uttering these words to make it sound nice. History is instructive. That's why the few of the quotes and the examples of what is taking place in the country. It didn't come from the top. It came from local communities, but they were banded together as other movements have been banded together. And remember what I said, we have to play a different game. We have to create solidarity amongst an unwieldy coalition, because we're such a diverse group. We're a highly diverse group, and we have to be the public really. Let me give you another example. The public can be extraordinarily powerful when it pushes back. Consider the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, this was just, what, a month and a half ago or whatever it was. I know that Brendan Carr. He's really an arrogant fool. I debated him all the time. I was on the committee that had jurisdiction over the Federal Communications Commission, so I know the guy. As Kamala would say, I know the type, you know. He certainly didn't like a woman that knew what she was talking about and could take him on. But you know, when you examine what happened there, and it was a handful of days. It was a handful of days. ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel show. Under pressure from the administration, public outrage. Now, it's been reported. I believe it is. Otherwise, these boys wouldn't have moved. Public outrage made its parent company, Disney, stop dead in their tracks. You know why? Because they were beginning to hemorrhage subscribers. That's what the public did. That's what the public did. They saw what the administration was doing. They were so enraged and said, I can do something about this. Hey, screw you, Disney and ABC, and what you've done. And they did it. And amazing. Disney changed their mind, and Jimmy Kimmel is back on. That's what the public did. It wasn't anybody in Congress. I mean, there were a lot of speeches about it, but it wasn't the Congress. It wasn't another corporation that said, oh, come on. It wasn't someone from the FCC that all of a sudden brokered anything. It was the public. It's people like you and me that said, hey, screw you. I'm yanking my subscription from whatever I have with you. So if there's a day in the week, an hour in any day, where you find yourself thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do? You know what? We know what to do.
Exactly.
History has instructed us over and over again. We are a 250-year story of many divisions, but we have not had a president whose strategy is, in order to rule, you turn one American against another. You disregard the laws of the land and shred the Constitution. No, 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 no way.
Yes.
No way.
Thank you.
No way. The no way. So the best defense against all of this is, remember this, is solidarity. Back to this room. All of the organizations that Joanne invited. There's a strategy to that. It has to be all of us. And when all of us are out there for Prop 50, for the special elections that take place, look, we made it through to almost November 1st of this year. In May, we didn't think we could live another day. So we have a year to go. And during that year, this solidarity and the movement that has been captured by the good, decent people of America, like you, like everyone in this room, decent people that love their country and want a good future, not just for themselves and their family and everyone in their community, but the entire country and future generations. And you know what? When we accomplish this, history is going to remember you. History is going to remember you. History is watching us right now. But I think that what we have done before, what we have experienced, what we've been through, we know what the mission is. Now we know what the strategy needs to be. We're going to get this done. Bless all of you for your commitment. Thank you for having me here. Thank you. Thank you,
Anna, for all your years.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much. And I hope everybody heard that. That's what we're all doing here, is we're doing what we can because only we can. And I would like to invite our next speaker, Genevieve, who is our young person. Everybody says, where are the young people? Well, here she is. And she's representing all young people, although we also have the young women here from the Feminist Majority and from her organization, And so I want to invite you up to speak, Genevieve, about what you see.
Hello, everybody. I think, should I go over to the left?
No, you don't have to.
Okay, I'll just stay here then. Hi, everyone. My name's Genevieve. It's a little crazy that you asked me to speak after the Congresswoman. That's a really hard act to follow. Thank you for your words. But thank you so much for having me. My name is Genavieve Koenigshofer, and I'm the Executive Director of Generation Up, or Gen Up, which is a youth-led educational advocacy organization dedicated to bringing youth voice into decisions about our education system. I've also been a part of the organization for 5 years. I joined while I was in college. And so we'll talk a lot about Gen Up as we go along. If you'll excuse me, I had planned to write some talking points this morning, but I ended up at a protest asking the UC to protect its immigrant students. So I'm going to be speaking from the heart. Because we're going to talk about Gen Up and we're going to talk about youth, but I also want to tell you about my story. Right now, I'm a student at the Goldman School of Public Policy at UC Berkeley. I'm class of 2027, but before that, I was UC San Diego class of 2024. And before that, I was San Clemente High School class of 2020. The infamous class with its proms canceled, and Zoom University, and drive-through graduation, and all of those things. And it was an interesting time. Half of my neighbors were sitting in their armchairs advocating for social justice while social distancing. The other half were protesting masking requirements by the pier. The community was divided. It was a moment where I was fortunate enough throughout my high school experience, even though I turned 14 when Trump became president in his first term. I was fortunate enough to be insulated from a lot of it until March 2020 happened and everything changed for me. Not just the state of the world, but as a young Filipino woman, my mom came to this country 2 weeks before 9/11 happened. And she started telling me that she didn't feel safe to go to the grocery store anymore by herself because of the things that she'd seen online, and because of the way that neighbors were giving her side eyes that she hadn't really seen before. And that was a moment of reckoning for me. And what does it mean to be a young person in this country of color? I had never really had to think about that before. And all of a sudden, I was in this position where I realized, oh, people do look at me differently sometimes, in ways that I don't see myself. And that's going to inform how I show up in front of people. And that gives me a responsibility too. I happen to be the student board member on my school board from 2019 to 2020. Let me tell you, that was a very, very interesting year to be on a school board, especially in a conservative majority place. The comments that I would get from students and parents about my position on school closures and vaccines was remarkable, to say the least. I still remember some of them. But it was really, above all, a time of change, a time of disempowerment, all while we're supposed to be looking towards the future in our lives. I remember receiving my admissions letter to UC San Diego. I pulled out my phone, I saw the email, I sighed, and I put it away because I was sitting in the school board room waiting to see if schools were going to close for good. And all of a sudden, that future that I had been taught to look forward to for so long felt really, really far away. It did not feel like things could get better. I couldn't see where we go from here. It felt endless. And that was how a lot of people in my generation felt. I think that maybe this resonates with some of you. Hopefully not, because we're not here to worry. But it's a moment where we have to think about, where do we stand in this moment? What can we do? So I found myself sitting on my hands in my room, wondering if there was something, anything that I could do to make a change and make a difference. And then Governor Newsom mentioned that he was thinking of reducing funding for education during the COVID-19 pandemic because, we weren't in school. He thought that we didn't need all those resources. I didn't know much, or at least I didn't think I knew a lot, but as cohort number 1 of Zoom University, I did know that students were going to need help, and we were going to need those resources. So I got organized. I got in touch with the student group who was lobbying the governor to say, hey, we do need these resources, please fully fund education. And, to my surprise, we won. He decided that we were going to do it. And prioritize education for the next year. And we didn't stop there. All of a sudden, I had gone from crying in my room, feeling like there was nothing that I could do to change the situation that I was in, to making a meaningful, tangible impact on not only myself, but all the people that I knew and people that I didn't know. It went beyond me, far beyond me. We then worked on a bill called AB 101. At the time, it was called AB 331, Assembly Bill 101. And that was the bill that made ethnic studies a one-semester graduation requirement for all high school students. This was something, as we were going through the 2020 protests, that students like me were beginning to realize the role that our histories and the lived experiences of the people that came before us really played into who we were as Americans. And we also realized that we weren't learning that in schools. It was only now that we were beginning to come to terms with that. And we thought that other students should be able to have those same opportunities. So we gathered a coalition of organizations with March for Our Lives, with Diversify Our Narrative. We held a virtual rally, because it was 2021, and brought over 300 students out to say, this is what we want, this is how we want our education to respond to the new way that we are perceiving the world today. And we won. And what it really showed me, it gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me the opportunity to look beyond myself and my situation and understand how the things in our lives affect other people too, in a way that I really didn't have to before. But beyond everything, it really gave me faith in democracy. It showed me this is what happens when you get organized, when you get involved, when you raise your hand and you say, this is my experience, you're not hearing me, let me say it again. This is what I'm feeling, this is what we need to do. You can make that difference. And at a time when it felt like young people, many young people I knew couldn't even vote yet, but when it felt like there was nothing you could do to change your situation, there we were, we did it. So that is what centers me today. Now I'm a graduate student. I graduated from college last year. Most of the students who work with Gen Up are ages 14 through 22, K through 12, and college students. And what I hope to bring as a leader in this space is to give students that same sense of empowerment, to let them know that when we speak up, people can listen and we can win, no matter what the world looks like. And so that brings us back to Gen Up. I'll tell you a little bit more about it because I love it so much. We try to make change in 3 different ways. We work on concrete, tangible, statewide reforms. We write and pass bills at the California State Legislature that are pro-student education reforms. We've passed 16 student-written bills into law, and 75 more that we've advocated for have become law. And that's, thank you. And that covers everything from civic engagement. I worked on a bill, helped write, that passed, that created student board member positions on county and charter school boards, for example. We work on mental health. We work on student safety and sexual violence prevention in our community colleges, and our UCs and our CSUs. We work on financial aid, student housing, all of the things that really materially affect students today. We give students the chance to have that voice. But we also teach students to organize in their local school districts and universities. We teach them the skills that they need to build coalitions and the impact points where, yes, you can talk to your school board member. Yes, you can talk to your assembly member, and here's how you get there. And then binding that all together are the youth-led trainings from 5-6 years of lived experience of hundreds of students going through this program and building from each other, learning how we affect change. And I don't want to be pithy about it, but I really do think this is how we save democracy. Because when we show people that your voice matters, and you show them that at a young age, it makes a difference. When you are in a position, economically and socially, where you don't have a lot of power, but you can't even vote yet, and things just happen all around you, it can be really difficult to keep hope. But when you have the opportunity to get involved and see those wins happen, that changes everything. It changed everything for me. I think youth organizing saved me. And I was going to be a child and adolescent psychiatrist to the delight of my parents. They're a little less thrilled about this public policy career thing. But they came around, don't worry. There's so much that we can do together. And I didn't realize when I was making my decisions that that's one way that we can impact the process. But when we bring people together and when we inspire them, you can have a lasting impact on people across your entire community. And so the students that I worked with 5 years ago, now actually a lot of them go to UC Berkeley, they're seniors, and I run into them at the halls. And just 2 weeks ago, I was in line for falafel and somebody said, "Genevieve, is that you?" Because I run into students everywhere that I mentored who have now gone on to become education researchers. They've become teachers. We really need teachers. They've decided to study public policy or to study education or to run their own nonprofit organizations. And all that started with a student reaching out and saying, "I believe that you can do this." And that brings me to what you all can do. Because students can't do this alone. I've already told you, materially speaking, students are under-resourced. We don't have a lot of the same democratic rights that some students do, though we've been working on that, trust me. But we need the people who have the ear of the community, who have resources in any form, to also say, "I hear you, I believe you, I believe in you." That is how we build power together. And when students still need mentors, we need people who give advice, we need people who will take us to things and expose us to things. And if you make that commitment to the young people in your life and say, "Hi, how are you doing? What do you really think about what's going on?" And you really listen, you validate that, and you give them opportunities to get involved. That is the first step to showing somebody that their voice matters. That is the first step to showing them that when you get involved with democracy, democracy works at every level. And if we can make it happen at a school district, if we can make it happen at a state, we can make it happen nationally. This is how you build not only the next generation of leaders, but the next generation of compassionate citizens who learn how to think beyond their own circumstances, who learn how to be empowered and how to make the changes that they want to see, not just for themselves, but for the larger community that they represent. So I ask that after today, whatever young people are in your life, really sit down with them. Because a lot of the same issues that weigh on you, weigh on young people. We're on the same internet, for better or for worse, often for worse. And I can tell you that Gen Z, the kids are not all right sometimes. It really weighs heavy. The youth mental health crisis is tough. We've grown up in an age of recessions and pandemics and with the looming threat of climate change. And regardless of how you think that might impact us, our own lifetimes, it's something that I think about every day, and it's something that we all do. And sometimes people think that it's better to let kids be kids or leave that unsaid, but I promise you that it's weighing on the people in your life. So open that door to the conversation and really listen and have a dialogue and validate the things that they are saying. And then tell them, here's how you can get involved. Whether that's in your community, whether that's sending them to us, whatever that looks like, open those doors for them and be the person who not only tells them to speak up, but be the person who listens. If you can do that, then I think that we can build in the long term a democracy where people believe in the institutions that we have worked so hard over the last 250 years to create. I think we're facing an epidemic of people not believing in democracy. And if we can invest in the young people today, if we can instill hope in them, they will give back and instill hope in us too. That has always been my experience. So I thank you for giving me this platform, and thank you so much for being that advocate in young people's lives. I know you can do it.
We get to say we heard her win. So it's nice to hear you, family, to hear you. What an amazing asset you are just to our world. So thank you. And all the young people that are here and the young people that you know, please tell them that we need this, you know. We need this as much as you need this. So I'm so appreciative that to have you talk with us.